right, we're back.
Is this our fight song? This
Yeah.
is our fight song.
Is that what that reminds you of?
Yeah. I don't know why. It sounds like I'm going to go kick some ass with this song.
Yeah, so it's Pride Month.
Happy Pride.
Happy Pride. And we just got canceled because of that.
In our community. Anyways.
Yeah.
Well, no, actually in our community, they would probably be the majority.
I think so.
The boycotters, the cancel culturing, anti-cancel culture folks.
Yes.
It's getting very confusing to describe them.
Anti-cancel culture people. So, we're going to have a guest in a couple minutes, but the point of this, of course, on this podcast, we're big supporters of Pride and, that community and very fine people. We have a lot of
friends.
We're considered allies of this community. But this episode, after our guest, we're going to get into, we understand everybody isn't behind this.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, look at Bud Light, Target, and everything that they've been going through. Mm-hmm. A lot of people are against this movement, and they're very adamant about not doing business with these companies that promote Pride. Mm-hmm. Which,
That's your right.
Put your money where your mouth is, and okay, don't support these companies.
I don't support companies that I don't like.
Don't support, like Jimmy John's. I personally don't go there because
right.
I don't really believe.
I don't like the fact that he has pictures of himself with like dead elephants and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, okay, that's perfectly whatever.
I mean, technically, he's allowed to do it. I kind of think it's disgusting. Why do you need to do it? I don't see the need for it, but makes him feel big. Because he's little in certain places, probably.
Chick-fil-A, which, again, I don't really support a lot of what their beliefs in. Mm-hmm. I found this one hard to believe, though. This week, did you see they're trying to get Chick-fil-A canceled?
I know. I heard about it because, they didn't even come out with Chick-fil-A didn't come out with a Happy Pride Month. I thought these folks just found out that they do diversity training in their company, which most companies do.
Most major corporations do.
And they don't like that they are even teaching diversity. That's too much for them. Yeah. I think that's why they want them canceled. I don't think Chick-fil-A came out and made a stance about, if they did, I missed it, but I think it's strictly because they have a diversity program there. That's it.
Right. So they're going to cancel their Jesus chicken now? I
don't know, but how are these people not behaving like Nazis and fascists? How are they not? I realize they're not out there murdering, millions of people, but how are you not behaving like you can't do anything that I don't like?
I don't know. And, and that's such a slippery slope because we learned, because all these counties want to ban certain books from, school libraries and stuff like that, that under legal precedents that this says to the letter of the law, you might get certain books banned that you don't want to.
Oh, like the Bible?
Like the Bible.
Which got banned in Utah.
County.
I think it's called Davis County in Utah. Somebody finally challenged them because they had people having other books taken out of the school. So what was Dick Santis trying to say? We're not banning books. I forgot the word that he used for it. I think it started with a C. We're merely doing that. We're not banning them. They can still go out and buy them. Then if you know that they can still go out and buy them and they're going to get access to them anyways, why take them out? Why take them out of the school then? Why? What's that going to do? They're still going to get their hands on them.
Right. And so the problem being is you write these laws saying what's appropriate and not appropriate in a book. And then so you say, well, the book can't contain violence. Well, that's what Utah got the lawyer in Utah got him on the Bible, was because of depictions of violence in the Bible.
Right. And the story of Lot. Don't forget about that one.
Yeah.
That's the story. That's a very sexual story of a guy who has sex with his own daughters. So, I mean, it's sex and incest all rolled into one. I mean, maybe they like hearing stuff like that, though. I mean, maybe they're okay for shit like that.
Oh, in Alabama, they might be.
I don't. Maybe they're okay they're like, well, grooming's okay if it's the parents doing it, but it can't be anyone else. We can't, That's kind of what they sound like, though. Because watch, how many of them are going to throw a fit when this shit hits the fan and they're going to say,
"Oh yeah,
what are you canceling the Bible for?
We didn't mean that.
Yeah. What are you canceling the Bible for?" And then, speaking of Dick Santis, how I brought that up, he's out there like bragging about how he's done all these things for Florida. I'm like, yeah, but the way that you're talking, it seems to me like you're just making a bunch of waste of time laws. I mean, how is that really doing stuff?
Right, and this is coming from a guy who believes in less government and less interference and more freedom. Freedom,
yeah.
Right?
How is that more freedom if you take stuff away?
No, it's not.
If you wanted freedom, wouldn't you want everything to be able to happen?
Yeah. Well, we'll get into this more. I think right now we've got to get our guest on the phone here, and then we'll get back to this.
Call him up.
Okay, hold on. Hey, Ronnie, how you been?
Oh, busy. But
Hi,
good.
Ronnie.
Good morning. Good.
On the last Sunday of Pride, we were like looking all over for you.
I know. You were probably busy. Yeah. He's one of the organizers.
Right.
So. Yeah. So we finished cleaning up from the after party that was insane.
Uh-huh.
And then I had to run home due to a work emergency.
Oh.
So I ended up, I left Kingman by like noon. So I was out of there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Unfortunately, my preferred plan, it's just kind of what happened.
Yeah, well, so we didn't get much of a chance to talk to you. I mean, we saw you briefly over the weekend. But...
And that's why we get to talk to him now.
Yeah.
Yeah, see?
So overall, great events as always.
Oh, thank you.
And we had a lot of fun talking to a lot of people. A lot of people we talked to last year, and it was cool to see the progression that some of them have made from last year to this year.
Oh, some of them are completely new people, both, especially spiritually and mentally.
Exactly. Yeah. 100%.
It's been an incredible thing. One of your guests, I'm so bad with names, Ophelia.
Yes.
So I knew her before our very first Pride in 2019.
Okay.
And as someone who was reaching out, trying to find resources and assistance and something there. And when we put together the first Pride, I remember them coming. And in 4 years, seeing someone, especially a youth, go from being so shy and timid and scared to someone ready to take on the world. It's been kind of a really great journey to see.
Yeah.
And
she was
not to get too deep, but it's so cool. Yeah.
She was so much more like bubbly and like I remember the year before she was very quiet. Like, wow. Yeah.
Yeah. And she was at both day events basically all day. She was at the after party working. So she gave up she was there Friday. She was there Monday for the teardown. So she was a huge part of this year's event. It was great to have her and just to see her be comfortable and confident and finding a community in which she's embraced and celebrated.
And I think that's probably the most heartwarming thing that I took from that is seeing like if you would just help one person, whether it be everything that you all do with Mojave Pride and we do on the podcast. I mean, especially just for us, to toot our own horn, was to have someone come up to you and say, "You really helped me." Yeah. By just listening.
Oh yeah, it almost makes all the work and sleepless nights and stress worth it.
Yeah.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
and I think that that's what the world is missing is sometimes we forget that it's not the big things that we're doing. It's not our jobs. It's not coming home every day. Sometimes it's those little things that we're doing that make the biggest difference in someone else's life. So what Pride has taught me in the past 4 years is just showing up and making space for somebody changes their entire world.
Yeah.
And I just wish that right now the world would make a little bit more space for each other.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
it would make a difference.
Yeah.
Definitely, because it's just really ugly out there, and it seems like a lot more so since 2019 when you had the first Pride. It just seems like everything's just a lot more meaner now.
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
Yeah, and-
you know, like I was thinking, I'm like, okay, there were no protesters last year, right? And were there any in 2019?
So at the first event, we did have some people like walk through
Okay.
and they came to check us out. And you could, I mean, living in Kingman or Mojave County and in that area, it's you kind of know who you're looking at.
Right.
Not to judge people by how they're dressed, but
Right.
when you go to a certain kind of event and you are there in your leathers and you are armed and you're wearing your insert state name militia
Mhm.
jacket, you're kind of making your presence known.
Right.
But they never stuck around. In fact, the first year when they visited, they had pulled one of them had pulled me aside and said, well, seems like everything's on the up and up, so we're going to let you go.
Oh,
Which
gee,
I always thought
thanks.
was a weird comment because they're not law enforcement. They have no power over anybody.
Right.
But he gave us permission to hold our event because it met his standards. So
It's and hopefully those people aren't coming back, because now this year there were I guess the woman didn't want to call herself a protester, but still they had their religious booths set up
Mhm.
across the street. So, and I think that everything that's been going on, like maybe they have been emboldened to finally decide to set up their booth and
yeah,
make their presence, which is fine. You know, they're allowed to protest. I mean, they're allowed to do
yeah.
that. But yeah, it's getting. Hopefully, it stays like that and stays civil for
Yeah.
the years
Yeah.
to come.
Yeah, because
So- yeah.
any literature that they were handing out, which I went through, was your typical, I don't know, anything you would get handed, like a Jehovah's Witness coming up to your door.
Yeah.
There was nothing really bad in the message
No.
that they were sending.
Okay, but it still goes against the Bible, though. If you take the Sermon on the Mount into consideration, they really aren't
Yeah.
supposed to do that. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, the Bible has multiple paragraphs about not wearing your cross and not putting a cross out there. You're supposed to worship in private.
yes.
You pray with your family. So there's a difference between showing God's grace and love through action and being present and discipleship
Right.
as proselytizing or trying to pull people away. Now, the particular group that did this, their little counter protest to us, we were made alert by a video clip.
Right.
And before the clip, we had actually gotten a message I received a message from somebody in the church, and then the clip got sent to us. And because my stepdad happens to be a deacon at one of the Baptist churches in that area, so I grew up in a lot of these churches. I actually did business with the church that was protesting us. I sold them their window treatments. So I recognize them. I know the building that they're in. And I sent him an email or a Facebook message, and I said, hey, I'm one of the organizers. I realized you got some of the information wrong about the event. And I go, so this is what we're doing. It's family friendly. It's not a national organization. This is 5 local business owners and some volunteers putting it together. This is our 4th year. I put all that information out there, our website, our other charities. And he goes, the response was actually very friendly. And, we appreciate you reaching out and all that. So in the meantime, of course, because I'm curious, I was watching their sermons because they're online, and saw them rallying together and getting everybody hyped up. But what was really concerning to me is the language changed the closer it got from "we're going to have a prayer in the park" to he started calling them encampments. He used the word battle. He said war is raging.
What?
Did he say enemies?
Yeah, and enemies.
That is.
And I remember listening to it thinking, well, this is how this happens. This is how it goes from being a peaceful protest to people coming out to fight.
Yeah.
It's all in the language and how you present it.
Right.
So Willow and Gideon, every year Gideon he's phenomenal, and he is the nicest and the sweetest soul you could ever hope to meet in your world. How him and Willow have managed to make it to adulthood without losing their Disney princess mindsets, I don't understand. But every year he bakes cinnamon rolls in case we have protesters, so we can give them cinnamon rolls. And we always bring them water and sunscreen. And this year, he made some beautiful cinnamon rolls. He wrote a scripture about sharing fruit and love and all that. So the main pastor who had the thing, his follow-up sermon, he took that verse, found another verse in a different book in the Bible that talks about how you should not eat the tainted fruit and be of the world. And he continued that kind of language. And that was what was disappointing to us.
Wow.
Yeah.
Is we really try hard to have a good presence, and we don't want to create any more hate or hostility in this world. We're really just trying to find a safe space for people to come together and for them to take a message of love and community and to turn it into us trying to manipulate that was disappointing.
Right. And personally, when I heard certain phrases like enemy and stuff like that, I didn't really think of it. I mean, it's kind of threatening and intimidating. But you got to think about the message that you put out there, and there have been shootings at Pride events before, and what's to say that doesn't trigger some lunatic?
So, and that was when we made the decision to do extra security this year. It was, we're not necessarily afraid of that group coming, because they did everything perfect. They got their permits, they had their times, they did it right. It was, who is going to come in and take advantage of them being there? And that's where our fear became in. But, at the end of the day, Pride is a protest, and we don't live in fear anymore. We are visible as a community, and we find our strength in numbers. Yeah. And at the end of the day, I could not believe the amount of support we got, especially with everything going on. And it was just another great weekend. It wasn't our biggest Pride yet, but I think it was our most successful.
Well, the weather really didn't help this year.
Mostly on Friday. Yeah.
Yeah. And I was. Thank God we decided we'd let's just go out on Saturday morning and do it, because looking at that weather on Friday,
Yeah.
How stressful was Friday night for all you, though? Because there was that moment where you're just unsure if it was going to happen or not.
So and I'll bring up Taylor's situation, because Taylor was flying in. So he was in Phoenix, picking up the thrones and doing all that stuff. And online, during that storm, online said we had clear skies and no wind. So we had a group chat where we were all like, the wind is coming, this is happening, we're trying to find plan B. That way all the performers, because we had bands that drove all the way from Flagstaff and Tucson and Phoenix. We had people coming in for 6-hour drives. You don't want to say, oh, the event's canceled.
Right.
So we had this whole group chat. We had a whole plan B lined up. We had figured out what we're going to do. And poor Taylor's like, guys, I don't get it. Google weather says it's 70 degrees and sunny there. What is happening? But the next morning we woke up and the park was dry and beautiful and the weather was fantastic. And we were blessed.
Well, and the rain shower that did come in was kind of cool, just seeing everybody out there dancing in the rain.
Yeah, I told Chris, because he's been our DJ now for the past 3 years. I said, the next time that happens, you got to play Lady Gaga's "Rain on Me," and just let us have at it.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Hey, though I do know though, we survived the weather and stuff like that. We were literally had it was like almost like strippers on poles where everybody was just holding down our pop up.
Yeah.
And the funny thing was though, the protesters across the street, or down the street, I should say, they packed up as soon as that rain came in, like they would melt or something like that.
They might melt, Yeah.
So, I mean, and maybe this comes, my history when I was younger is I was a true activist. I marched every year in the March for Equality. I fundraised. I've protested at the the state capitol building. I've done those hours and I put in my work, and I've never left because it rained. So to me, when I saw that, I was like, well, that's just performative. You're not in it to win it. You don't have a real message. You're just there so everyone knows that you came.
Right.
And
you're just there so people didn't say, why didn't you go? Did you chicken out? Like folks on their own side would say that. They probably just did it because they thought they could brag to somebody that they did it. But it's like, you guys set up camp like across the street, but down the way. Like they were like, I mean, if they were trying to be protesters, they didn't do a very good job of that.
Well, visually, I mean, they were like a quarter mile away.
If that was their goal, it's like, because I don't think they just always set up in that spot, because I've never seen them there any other weekend,
No.
Giving out information.
Yeah.
So how much work does it take to pull off an event like that? Like, when do you start? Or have you already started for next year on it? There's a caveat because I kind of know part of the answer on it.
Yeah. So we used to give ourselves 6 months and pull everything together in a quick 6 months. This year, because there's so many things happening in Mojave County and Kingman, there's so many growing events. So we actually have already rented the park for next year. And we rented the park on May 22nd.
So May 22nd next year?
No, it's May 18th and 19th.
May
but
18th,
we rented.
19th. Okay.
Yeah, we rented the park the day after Pride.
Wow.
To make sure we had our date.
Oh wow, cool.
Because remember last year that was when we had to start moving our dates because somebody had rented the park, and then there was not an event.
Oh, they did it. They probably did it on purpose, just to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and although I think, despite the rain shower and the wind on Friday, I thought the weather was much more pleasant doing it in May.
Oh yeah,
most definitely. A 3-week difference, and it was 15 degrees cooler.
Yeah, every weeks really count in a state like Arizona. If you get further into that month of June, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Even today, we're like, Snow and I walked down to get some of the poke bowls. Poke. Which are fun.
Hooked on poke.
So
I follow them on Facebook, and I live in Casa Grande full time now. So you guys are like 4 hours away from me, and I see him post every day. And more than once, my partner and I have almost gotten in the car to drive down because they were so. And for being festival food, their prices were reasonable. Everything was so fresh, and they are so nice.
Yeah, they really are.
So.
Yeah.
So
it was delicious.
Yeah, that was our pre-podcast meal today.
Yeah.
Nice. I'm so jealous.
But the point being was, Snow and I were just dying, just walking back up the hill, just because of the temperature change.
Oh my gosh! Yeah.
Well, she's got that hill, and then she has those steps up to the house.
Right.
I don't like the steps to her house.
Yeah, it's not like any of that isn't brutal, right? Already, and then you throw the June temperatures on top of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess when I said I had a caveat to that is, and I didn't realize this till Willow had brought it up to me over that weekend, was you all decided your time was up after 5 years?
So when we This will take us back to the beginning a little bit. When we originally started planning Mojave Pride in 2019, we had never thought we were going to become a nonprofit. We never thought we were going to become a bigger organization. We were literally like, oh yeah, let's do this one event and go from there. And in setting everything up and trying to do things correctly, we realized in order to have our nonprofit status that we have to have a board. We fought against using our titles for the first 2 years, even though we had them. We only had our titles because it's legally required within our nonprofit status to have the president, vice president, secretary, and a treasurer.
Oh, okay.
That was the only reason we gave ourselves positions. And we did it correctly. We did a vote. Then when we sat down and we realized, okay, this is growing, this is bigger, we wanted to have, I forget what the name of it is. We have like a whole SOP. And we put in there that we didn't want anybody sitting in a place of power forever and ever. So there's a 5-year term limit written into our board statements. That way the legacy of Mojave Pride will always change and always grow with the times. There's always going to be somebody coming in fresh and new. So now with I am currently our treasurer. I'm also our entertainment director. So at our next big official board meeting, when we do a big vote, I can still be nominated and I can be voted back into my position, or I can choose to step down. But you cannot go 5 years in a position without being voted back in. And that way there's an opportunity for somebody to change into another department or change their scope. Like with Taylor moving to Georgia, me being in Casa Grande, a lot of my duties I can still do from long distance. But like the entertainment director stuff, the stage stuff, that's easier for somebody who's living there. So by doing it that way, we're opening up the door to let new people come in, fresh ideas, and we're going to keep everything moving forward. So,
okay. And if somebody wants to apply for this process, what do they do?
So we are currently accepting resumes or a letter of intent at andtheniaz@gmail.com. And you can also get that email on mojavepride.com because it's not the easiest. Our nonprofit name, because people say, well, I look for Mojave Pride and I don't find your nonprofit status. Our nonprofit is the And Then Initiative. And the whole reason it's called And Then is we said, so we're doing Pride. What's next? What are we doing? We're doing Pride and then what? So the And Then Initiative means that we're always looking for the next purpose and the next thing that we can do.
Right. Wow.
And then?
And exactly. And then
that's what it reminds me of. But how funny is that? There's always an and then, right?
There's always an and then. And it's not the easiest name. It doesn't roll off the tongue. People can't remember it. But there's a whole story. When we decided that we were going to go forward with it, that was the name that we just kept saying. And it just, it fits us now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's how, when we came up with this podcast title, Reality Redemption, where did you pull that out of your asses? And we sat there, we had a phone conversation for 2 hours, and then into a second day where we're just throwing names and words. And that was, we came up with it.
It was like playing words with friends, but without the cross word thing. It was like we just kept throwing words back and forth at each other.
Yeah.
And it was in the middle of the pandemic and fake news and all this stuff. And so
that's why we had to have reality.
Yeah, so reality. So what's fake news? Reality. Okay, the opposite.
And then everyone deserves redemption. So that's why we got a shot at redemption.
And that's a great name. That could be a whole brand. That's what I like about it.
Well, yeah, and then you come up with a name, and then you have to do the research. Hey, has anybody else done this? I was startled that no one else had come up with that name. I'm like, okay, well then that's boom, it's stuck.
Yeah, there you go.
And so, Ronnie, we both personally want to thank you and everyone, and Willow and Taylor and Gideon.
Yes, big thanks.
Well, thank you.
Just because it's just hands down for me, speak for myself, it's my favorite event in Kingman every year.
Oh,
It's
and that means a
very
lot because now there's a
positive.
lot.
Yeah, it's very positive and very fun. You know, it's fun to go to. It's positive. Everyone there seems like they're in a good mood. I've never seen somebody in there pissed off. So,
You know, we've been so fortunate, and the first year we always have the same thing where we don't think things are going to work out, and the first, Saturday morning when the first people show up, you kind of get this like you stress out, but you get kind of euphoric because you're like, oh my God, they're here for us. And within 20 minutes, the whole park is filled and the music's going and people are laughing and people start dancing. And I'm not really outgoing. Like I can make friends anywhere if I have a reason to talk to you, but I don't just walk up to people and talk. That's not who I am.
mhm.
But every year at Pride, I have met some of the most incredible people and made really great friendships from people I would have never met without Mojave Pride.
Yeah, and I mean, Snow and I are both really introverted people, and we've been friends for years. So we have no problem talking to each other about anything. And we we just turn on mics while we're talking about this stuff. And last year it was a little bit intimidating, because how are we going to just interview total strangers? How? And because I'm quiet, especially in social situations, I shut down. But just to have people coming up to you and they wanted to talk to you, they wanted to tell you the story. So it was effortless on our part for the most part.
Yeah.
All we had to do was just be there.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did most of the
Heavy lifting.
Yeah, and we got to hear a bunch of great stories,
Yeah, it's so the week after Pride, when you guys start releasing your Pride stories, that is probably my favorite week of podcasts and listening to stuff. Because as someone who helps put it all together, I really listen to the background.
Yeah.
So I'm listening to the stories, but I'm also like, I know exactly who's on stage, or I know who is walking past the booth, or I can recognize friends chatting. And for me, that is my favorite part because we're so busy during the event. Sometimes we don't really see anybody because we're running around. So listening to the podcast afterwards is kind of when I get my Pride euphoria, because that's when I get to feel like I'm part of the festival.
That's nice.
And I love it. I love it. It's and then also Ophelia, and hearing more about her backstory, I never got to sit down and talk to her about all of that. And it was really cool. And then knowing how she was 4 years ago compared to now, it's just it's so beautiful to get to see that. So I'm so happy that you guys are there to capture that, because these are memories that will live forever.
Yeah, and you'll see us out there and we're wearing sunglasses. It's not necessarily because we're sitting out in the sun. That there are moments that you generally either you tear up because of you're happy, or the story's sad, and you just and Snow and I both have this little thing where we'll just like do a side glance at each other, like wow.
Like we're having a moment.
Yeah, we're having a moment here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you again, and we'll have you on again to talk about this stuff. And I think you and I have some stuff to talk about privately off air. Because I'd like to get more involved in it.
Oh yeah, and we are so we weren't sure if we were really going to push that during the event. But we had so many people this year specifically ask about how do I get involved for the future, and we're always looking for people. This year we had 2 new people join the committee, and that would be Star Frost and Alicia, who is also Francis Foe. They're our new king and queen of Mojave Pride, and we're starting up a whole pageant system with them too. And they really took on a lot of the entertainment director stuff with all the drag shows and the after party this year. So we're so thankful that we have people who are reaching out and they're bringing their skills, and it's just going to get bigger and better the more people we get involved.
Yeah, and to all the protesters and the people who want to cancel Bud Light or Target or whatever. It's just not. It's not going. It's always been here. It's always been here. Yeah. It's not going away. And the weirdest thing is it wasn't even weird that every single person that we spoke with all said the same thing. Why do they care what I'm doing with my life?
Because they have no life.
I don't know.
Well, especially for some of these kids who are coming from disenfranchised homes or homes where their parents and their family just do not actually care about them at all, but they have a lot to say about us politically, or a lot about that. They're always looking out for the children, but they're not enacting laws to protect children. They're enacting laws to further marginalize and attack a group that is already hurting.
Okay,
That's a frustration.
Yeah, and another frustration along how you're talking about how they are saying they're trying to look out for children and stuff. Then why the fuck don't they ever go against the Catholic Church? Why? I mean, why are they never out there screaming about the Catholic Church grooming children?
Yeah. So I grew up in the Southern Baptist Church, Southern Baptist Convention, and I will say in my teen years, I think that we went through 7 or 8 associate pastors. And every time we got a new associate pastor, one of the teen girls who was in our class was discommunicated from our church.
Oh, wow.
Why are we not, checking in on these pastors? Why are we not doing background checks on people in clergy? But you're going to enact laws based on gay people that children might see. That's the part where I just, the church says that they're suffering, they're losing people. Well, there's a reason.
Yeah, and it's like too. It's like then they're screaming about like just a drag show is grooming children. It's like then show me the proof. Show me the proof. Oh wait, that's right. You can't. But we can show you the proof of all the churches that do this. I mean. Yeah. We can show you proof.
And we do get a little bit of flack that now we incorporate drag in our daytime events, because the first year we did not. The first year we tried to keep it completely separate because we did not fit that line. But if you look at our event, the second that they say there's a drag show about to start, business stops everywhere else in the park.
Right, because it's fun to watch.
Yeah, it's
still a performance. I mean, that's what I don't get about everybody likes watching performance for entertainment. I don't understand why it makes them so upset.
And speaking of that, we stopped our podcast when that started.
Yeah.
And when we talked to Ophelia last year, that was the one thing, and to see Ophelia get up there and be dancing in front of that crowd with so much confidence was just like, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it was cool.
Yeah.
And she did a great job.
Yeah, she was everywhere all at once this year.
Yeah.
So, and even at the after party, because she technically wasn't there to volunteer, but she worked the entire after party event as well, which was crazy. We did not expect I think we had 320 people in there before we had to close the doors, because we didn't have enough chairs.
Well, you were beyond the fire capacity of the room.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. So when we had set up the room, we were planning on like 120, 140. Mm-hmm. So we had seating for about 150, I think is what we counted. It took less.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Oh.
Well, no, go ahead. You're good.
Okay. I was going to say, how many capacity are allowed in the park? Would you guys be able to just keep it at the park
with the after park, we've kind of toyed around with that, but there's no real way to clear out the park for the kids, and we're really big on trying to keep things separate. That way there's an adult. Because our pride, because we are. Sorry, I'm having one of those ADD moments. I saw a bird in one of my planners. I completely lost track. Okay. Because we are really sticking to our family-friendly pride event, we're never going to do like an enclosed beer garden. We're never going to have an adult entertainment area at our pride. We are going to keep that stuff separate. So as the after party grows, the after party is going to become a bigger event where it will have maybe different kinds of vendors that you might see at other prides in like their exotic zones. So the after party will really be the adult pride.
But I mean,
So-
you couldn't. So if you have the security at the park, you couldn't have like one of them like at each entrance checking IDs, and then after the pride was the day part was over, maybe like take a while before the night one starts. Because
Yeah,
I think
that's not a bad idea at all.
yeah, because I mean, I'm like a lot of people. It seemed like some folks were really upset that they didn't get to go, and I kind of understand. But then I understand that you guys that you couldn't really do anything either. But I mean, I understand how if they came down from Bullhead, they would be upset that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's something that we're addressing for this upcoming year about how we further that. So far, tentatively, the plans are to keep things at the event center,
Okay.
but we are probably doing 2 nights worth of events instead of
Okay.
1 night.
Oh, that
That
would be
way
a
it's
good
kind of
idea.
separated.
Like a Friday
And-
night and Saturday night.
Yeah, and possibly maybe a third event that would happen on Sunday during the day.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I can't say too much now because we have to wait for our official meeting.
Yeah, well, you'll have to come back on and tell us when you can
All-
talk about it.
All good ideas.
Yeah.
And you know, we really we reach out to a lot of the people who come, and we actually have a forum that will be on our Facebook soon with a survey that we're asking people. This year, we didn't want to do pre-sale because we didn't know if it was going to be big. We didn't want to do a lot of extra stuff because we're our first year testing it out. And now we know, we should have done pre-sale.
Yeah.
We should have done this. And, but you know, we are, at the end of the day, we're happy it all happened.
Yeah. Or yeah, you could just do that if you did pre-sale. You'd be like, well, people didn't get their tickets in time. But
Yeah.
Well, and the fact that it did sell out is kind of
awesome.
I mean that's awesome because it means that it's popular.
Yeah.
So I mean that's all good.
Yeah. When it was about 30 minutes before we're going to open the door, and one of the entertainers came in and they said, "Have you seen the line?" And I go, "Yeah, it's really busy on 4th." And she goes, "No, it is busy all the way down Beale Street."
Uh-huh.
And I went, "No." And then I walked out, then I looked and I went, "Oh God, what have I done?"
You've created something.
Yeah. And so it was really great to see, like I said, just to see the support and give people something different. But we're learning a lot. That's the other thing I always remind people is we're always open to new ideas because none of us have an event planning background. None of us did anything like this before we started planning it. So every year we're learning the next step or how to make things better. And even with the mistakes that we're making, the protesters still referred to us as very well organized and very well funded.
Good.
So I'm gonna take that as the compliment that they meant it as.
Yeah. That's what I would do.
Okay, right.
And
Yeah. But what else? What else you got? What else you got, Ronnie? I cut you off there.
oh, I'm sorry, my phone blipped. I was like, I have no idea what's happening. I live in a rural area. But yeah, the after party was great. The event was great. Mojave Pride, the Pride event is our flagship fundraiser for the year. And that the money that we raise from this, goes towards your next year's Pride. It also helps maintain the Human Kindness Campaign, which is Gideon's side project. And within the Human Kindness Campaign, we take care of the Period Project. And we have a very small outreach for people experiencing houselessness. And we try to find resources to help other people out. We've gotten Greyhound tickets for people. We've been able to get somebody a prepaid phone. We've been able to help a few things out here and there as we go on. So, and then the Family Festivity Project's coming back this year. That is our non-denominational, non-holiday specific winter family care package program that we've instituted for 3 years now. And we got a lot, so we're very happy to be involved.
That's great.
That's amazing. Yeah,
Mhm.
amazing.
Yeah, that's excellent.
We like to stay busy.
Yeah. Well, I think I can speak for Snow too. Is all of you make Kingman a much more enjoyable place than it would
Yeah.
be.
Yeah, it's definitely not as boring as it would be, if this stuff didn't
Oh, no,
exist here.
And we also say, like, because you guys are really big players in the downtown area too, is Mojave Pride would not have the footing and the foundation to be where we're at right now if the downtown merchants and the downtown shop owners were not doing so much to revitalize downtown.
Yeah.
Because
They're
it's
doing
not
it.
just a draw for us. Now we actually have other venues that can host things. There's other places to go after Pride. There's food downtown. There's other things to do down there too, which makes our event go so much smoother. So it's all a community project, and it's just been really cool to be a part of it.
Yeah. Downtown is coming along
It is.
a
Yeah.
lot better.
And by next year, well, not next year, yeah, it'll be in the Millage project next year, but in 2 years, that downtown is going to look a whole lot different.
Yeah,
Yay.
I'm so excited. I still can't believe that 2 people were like, no, we should not improve our tourist district at all. But that's
I know.
on them.
Hey,
Idiots, right?
but that just goes to show, and big thanks to Councilman Jamie Staley on that one.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
But when a group of people get together, much like Mojave Pride, and you push for what you believe in, you can accomplish a lot in this town.
Yeah. And
I know.
9 times out of 10, when things don't happen, it's because no one wants to do the work. So
Right.
if you find a group to do the work with you, it's so much easier to get stuff done.
Yeah,
And that's the good thing. Like, a lot of the people who are against some of this stuff, a lot of them are really lazy. So that's a benefit, that are
Yeah.
against all this stuff. So they're not going to go do the work to.
No?
Combat it.
They recruited me for the downtown project,
Right.
and I was reluctant at first because you tend to get a little bit disenfranchised by this town sometimes. But I was like, well, yeah, I really do believe in this project. So, okay, yeah, I'll help out. And being in that room when that vote passed was as much of a great feeling as when I walked into the first Pride event in 2019. And I saw all the support that you had and the crowds. I was just like mind blown.
Mm-hmm.
And then when that's the same way when this project passed, I was kind of like, did that just really happen?
It's incredible. And when you get to feel good because you know that you're a part of it, you're not just going to enjoy it when it's done. You helped create it. It makes the work worth it.
Yeah. And it's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work.
All right. So Ronnie,
Yeah.
thank you. We're
Well, thank
definitely
you
gonna have you on again.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And this is the whole, Pride movement. It's a big thing. Not just because of the community, but also mental health awareness issues. That's something that we've always tried to really strive on. This podcast is just letting people talk and vent. And Pride, as far as my mental health issues,
Uh-huh.
Pride is one of the best events that helped me go, wow, all right, yeah, I do make a difference somehow.
Yeah.
So and thanks to you, we wouldn't be able to do it.
Yeah. Thank you, Ronnie.
Well, if credit goes to anyone, and Willow's going to fight me on this, when Willow started the first one, she just reached out to the right people, and she roped us all in, and now we're all stuck together. So
Thank you, Willow.
yeah, thank you, Willow.
Yeah,
Because, like I said, our very first meeting was at the wine bar at Diana's cellar door, and we didn't know what it was going to turn into, and here we are.
And Willow, I had the best conversation with Willow that weekend, and something that I'll never talk about on the air.
Mhm.
And just her and I just had this moment that was just really special that weekend.
Yeah.
So she's awesome. So all of you are awesome.
Oh,
And we will talk to you again. We're going to wrap this up. And, but, thank you. And next time you're in Kingman, come see us.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
For sure. I'm usually there like every other week, but I do this thing where I just show up and then do what I need to do and then I leave. So
Yeah. Oh, I get it.
That's the best way to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the best way to do it.
all right, guys. Thanks for the call.
All right.
Okay,
Talk to you later,
bye.
Ronnie.
Bye.
Bye. Ronnie.
Ronnie.
Man. God, I just love all of them.
I know, they're all really good people. Just all of them are sweethearts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they do so much work.
I know.
I can't imagine, because they all have their own lives, relationships, kids in some cases, projects, live far away, travel, and everything.
And they still make it happen.
I know. And I just have the kids and, just life and work. And then sometimes just thinking, hey, to do a couple-hour podcast once a week, sometimes it's like, wow, I got too much on my plate.
Right? I know. I do that too. I'm like,
So, all right. So we said we were going to help people out.
mhm.
Okay.
We're here to help.
We're here to help. So if you are
We want to
within
help
your right.
We want to help the cancel folks, right?
Yeah, you're within your right to cancel whatever, just go ahead and cancel. Okay?
We want to help the anti-cancel culture people, correct?
Yeah, so
They really
We-
hate cancel
we
culture.
are going
We're
to
going to help them
you out
right now.
in 1 second, okay?
One sec.
Yeah, we're going to take a brief pause here, and then we're going to help these out, okay?
Okay.
Okay, so I'll just crack a fresh Bud Light before we get started here.
Okay.
Okay, so Bud Light, of course, you're going to start there because you already have. Okay, so I'm going to preface this to say, like, again, the Bud Light thing was a private, can sent to somebody that does TikTok videos that's transitioning.
Right.
You would not have known this if you didn't seek it out, though.
Right.
Okay. And then you have Target, of course. Target, because they have the display, which they had to move to the back of the store because people are...
And in some stores, they took the merchandise out.
Yeah.
Some stores, it got moved to the back, but some... And then, actually, some of the employees who are in the LGBTQ community were like, actually, we're glad that they did because they are fearful that a mass shooting might take place or something over it, or they might be harmed. But I still don't think that Target should have backed down. I think they could have handled it a little bit better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The one thing that I had was with a family member that said, well, I don't want to see it and I don't want it pushed in my face. And my first was, well, I've been to Target. I've seen the display and I really didn't. I was kind of like, oh, cool.
Like, that's cool. Okay.
Okay, that's cool. And I didn't have any further thought about it. It didn't get in my brain at all.
It's like,
I didn't obsess about it.
I would have asked him, when you, on the chance that you would ever go into a Target, because
That was my point.
he's more of a Walmart person, but when you go into Target or Walmart, do you buy one of everything in the store anyways? I mean, you don't have to buy it then.
Yeah.
It's possible to walk past stuff like, okay, I'm a woman. I like to go shopping for women's clothes, so I walk past the men's section. I don't need anything there. But isn't it the same thing? Or if I don't need any shoes that day,
Well,
I walk my ass right past the shoes.
Well, according to some, that they are marketing to babies, and all the baby clothes now have rainbows on them.
And so the babies are what, rolling up in the shopping cart
Yeah.
with their money and their handout.
Yeah, with their hard-earned money that they've worked all week for.
These babies are out there.
Working their fingers to the bone.
The baby gives them their credit card, because babies have credit cards too, and they're like, "Hey, charge it."
Right, and then they're looking to decide what they're going to wear, and they go, "Well, all of our clothes have rainbows. What kind of agenda are you trying to push on me, being a baby?" Okay.
First off,
stop being stupid.
First off, wouldn't the rainbow clothes be good for babies though? Aren't they stimulated by bright colors and whatnot? Because their brain is still, doing its thing where it's like it's a new brain. So it's like
apparently that's
it's getting stimulated. But I mean, why wouldn't that be a good thing to show that your kid's brain is actually working? I mean, maybe you should just buy the rainbow stuff and put that part aside from it and just do it for the bright colors, because kids like stuff like that. I mean, what the hell?
Yeah. So the point being is, these people and my family member I said, when have you actually been to a Target? And he was like, well,
in the 80s.
Well, I'm like, okay, well, then you're seeking it out. You're seeking this stuff out. So as a favor to everybody, and they want to cancel all these businesses and not do business, I came up with a list. I put some time into this list, okay?
Hey, you know what? And let me just say, too, okay? Just what you said about when do you even go into a Target. You know what? I don't like what Hobby Lobby's beliefs are. But I'm like, I don't care, though. I don't go to Hobby Lobby. I don't go there. I don't need to go there.
Yeah. All right, so it's going to take a few minutes to get through this list.
Okay.
So if you're against Target and you don't want to shop at Target, you might want to look at Walmart in their Facebook page or their social medias, because they support the community. Now, I put a little star next to that one. They do tend to donate to politicians that are against the community. Okay, so
a lot of the folks on this list do.
AT&T. Okay, they're another one that donates to politicians who are against this community, but they do have a pride page on their page. Your Apple phone. Apple supports pride, so you might want to get rid of that iPhone. Samsung, you might want to get rid of that Android. They support pride. Another one that supports politicians that are anti the movement, Home Depot. Home Depot. Lowe's.
So,
Lowe's.
Home Depot's competitor.
True Value. Who here in Kingman Fruit.
Where are you going to go in Kingman then? Wait a second, they do have an Ace Hardware. What about Ace?
I didn't look up Ace.
Oh, I bet you Ace is on that list.
Place then.
No, I bet you Ace is on this list.
But Ace their slogan is with the helpful hardware man. So what kind of message is that sending?
That it's a man list. It's a store for men.
Or you could get serviced by a man. Ace is a place with a helpful hardware man.
Hardware man.
And, that's the point. McDonald's, you eat those chicken McNuggets.
No more nuggets.
No Big Macs. Burger King.
No more Whoppers.
Well, it is home with a Whopper. So you'll get violated there. Subway, because you can have it your way at Subway.
And you can eat fresh.
Chipotle's.
Chipotle. Chipotle. I call it Chipotle, but it's Chipotle.
Okay. Can't go there. Taco Bell, because you know what that does to your ass.
Right?
Okay. You may want to think about those Amazon deliveries.
Okay.
Okay? Because Amazon supports the movement. And even if you did still go to Amazon, how are you going to get it? Because UPS, FedEx, and the United States Postal Service
no deliveries for you.
All support the movement. And if you don't want to drink Bud Light, fine. Okay, there's other options out there, right? If you like your
what
cheap
about
beer.
Coors?
Coors is on the list.
Because Coors made a statement a long time ago about how they support gay pride because they want to sell it at the pride festivals.
Yeah, so, okay. Well, then you could go to Miller, I guess. But
You can't.
Miller's
go to
on the
Miller.
list.
I will take a sip of my High Life, the champagne of beer.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers. That's
Cheers.
Miller and Coors or Budweiser coming together on that one. You could just switch the hard stuff and maybe just switch to a Jack.
How about some
Jack
Jack
Daniels?
Daniels?
On the list.
Jim Beam?
I didn't see Jim Beam.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
Well,
so
maybe Jim Beam would be safe.
But what are you going to mix it with? Coca-Cola? No. On the list.
What about Pepsi, the competitor?
On the list.
What? What about? I'm gonna have to go to the generic sodas. Oh
Well,
wait, I could do Sam's Choice. Oh wait, you told me that Walmart's on
Is
the
on
list.
the list.
Oh no, I can't even get the cheap sodas.
And maybe your dog will console you because you're upset about this. But where are you going to go get your dog treats? Because Petco and PetSmart are on the list.
On the list.
Trying to turn your dogs gay since whatever year they came out. Now, you could go get some food at the grocery stores, but, here in Kingman, Smith's Safeway,
On
also
the list.
owned by Kroger, all on the list.
Yeah.
Okay? Wow, this is a lot. Okay? So I think I'm going to have to hand this over to you so you can read a few of these.
Okay.
All right?
Let's see. Let's see who we got here. Who's on the list? I need to get some glasses real quick.
Okay.
Pause it. Glasses.
Okay. So now I have to get glasses.
Okay.
My horrendous handwriting.
Okay, here we go. Okay, on the list. Kia. How many people own a Kia?
Kia.
On the list.
I know a salesperson for Kia that was kind of posted the things about Target, so he's not going to be happy.
He's
gonna have to-
anti-LGBTQ.
He's going to have to quit his job.
Yep,
Because
no-
he can't say Kias.
No more job for you. Honda
Honda is
on the list. Sorry, Honda, yes. Oh,
Well, those are foreign car companies. There can't possibly be American car companies that support this movement.
there can't be. No, unfortunately, Chevy is on the list. Okay. And then if you're thinking, well, I'll go get a Ram. Nope, sorry, Dodge is on the list. And you're like, well, I've always liked Fords and Mustangs, so I'll get one of the. Nope, sorry, Ford's on the list. So then, if you like trendy clothes, like American Eagle, you can forget about those because they're on the list. And if you're a person that likes to wear Doc Martens, nope, sorry, they're on the list. Nike?
Nike.
Do you prefer Nike tennis shoes?
I'm wearing them right now.
Well, I hate to tell you, but they're on the list. I hate to tell the folks who are anti. They're making it so confusing now. The anti-cancel culture, but they're cancel. It's hard to even give them a new name. Should we just call them dumbass? I mean, I don't know what to say anymore. Okay. Dockers?
Apparently can't wear those.
No, you can't even look preppy anymore. You can't be a prep. How is Tucker Carlson going to get dressed? He's got to wear Dockers. Okay. Oh. You might. Back in the day, Michael Jordan preferred Adidas to Nike, if you saw that movie Air, which was a very good movie, by the way. You can't have those because Adidas are on the list.
Adidas.
Okay, so things that you use to listen to your music, okay? Big names. Sony on the list.
Well, that takes out your PlayStation.
No more video games for you. No more video games, no more CD players if people still have a CD player that they listen to versus streaming. I listen to CDs still. Okay, Microsoft on the list.
So that takes out the Xbox.
Yeah, the Xbox is gone. Okay, and then networks, CBS, NBC, and ABC.
Well, they're
all on the list.
Well, they're all fake news anyway, so they don't go there.
But the real, okay, so then the real news thing, Fox News
is on the list.
They're on the list because
They have a pro LGBT.
Yeah,
page.
they're on the list. So
you can yes, and if anybody wants to fact check us on this, you can go out and just Google it like I did.
Right. It's really easy. You all know how to work phones. Well,
Yeah.
of course, they're not going to be able to use their phones anymore to do this.
How did they find the Bud Light can?
From their phone, but now that we're telling them this information, they're not going to be able to look stuff up anymore.
Dude,
Not if they stick to their guns.
I can hear the
pun intended.
I can hear like the sound of phones breaking across the country as we read this list.
Me too. Oh, do you have a free Sirius XM subscription in your vehicle while it's new? You better not listen to it during the free period and don't continue with your subscription because it's on the list.
So you cannot listen to Sean Hannity anymore because Fox News has a pro-movement page.
He's on the Patriot channel too.
And
can't listen to that.
Supported by Sirius XM, who is also pro-LGBTQ.
And on the list. Okay, and if you're thinking about getting gas in your car, maybe you can't go to Chevron.
Chevron.
Because Chevron's on the list.
Which Texaco falls under the Chevron category.
Yeah, you can't go to. And if you would have had more time, you probably could have looked up like ExxonMobil, and they'd probably be on the list.
Somewhere, yeah.
I mean, yeah, because they just want to sell gas, expensive gas.
Okay. The point being isn't this getting tiring?
It's very tiring, and I'm sorry, but I need to pass this back over to you because I need to be able to take a drink.
All right. So if
of my Miller High Life
somehow,
that's on the list.
Get off because I think DirecTV's on the list. A lot of streaming services, Netflix.
Well, what about my sports?
But you want to watch sports, okay? NFL on the list. Now,
how dare you?
Now, we realize all of you canceled the NFL and you're never watching again until the next time
because
your team
of Colin
plays.
Kaepernick, right?
Yeah. Until the next time your team plays.
Right.
But you may want to rethink that.
We canceled it back then, but now we came back, which is what you're going to do again, with your Bud Light and everything else.
Yeah. And the NHL can't watch hockey.
No hockey for you.
Basketball. The NBA playoffs are in full swing. The NBA playoffs are in full swing. You can't watch that.
You're not watching it.
Major League Baseball. The American
pastime. No baseball
pastime.
for you.
Pride.
Which
they support.
Okay, I would go to a baseball game. I don't much like watching baseball on TV unless it's the World Series.
Yes. Okay. And well, then you can.
But they can't go to the games.
You could just go to the all-American redneck sport and just continue to watch NASCAR. NASCAR supports Pride.
They can't. What is the world coming to? They got their NASCAR taken away from them.
People should have learned back in the 90s. Jeff Gordon's pit crew was called the Rainbow Warriors, and he had a rainbow car. Way back in the 90s.
Him.
NASCAR was ahead of the movement.
He was, yeah, they've always been innovators.
And welcome, Sydney.
Hi. Hi, Sid. Hi.
Okay. So, we get back into, I'm just going to order some Southern chicken. Okay? I can't watch NASCAR. I need my Southern fix.
There's no way that the Colonel's on that list.
KFC is on the list.
What? The Colonel, how could you do this to them, Colonel?
So we've already established you can't drive Kias, Hondas, Dodges, Fords, Chevys. Well, I'm just going to drive a Toyota. No, can't
On
drive
the
a Toyota.
list.
On the list. I know you might need, people are going to need a coffee to get through this list, get the caffeine fix. So maybe grab a cup of coffee. Well, you can't do Starbucks. They're on the list.
I have a feeling a lot of those folks don't go to. They
don't
prefer
go
a
to Starbucks.
different coffee outlet
But they
over
would go to
Starbucks
Dunkin'
anyways.
Donuts, right?
Oh,
You
there. Dunkin' Donuts has got to be on the list.
Dunkin' Donuts is on the list.
On the list. No Dunkin' for
Rainbow
you.
sprinkles for everybody.
One of my favorite kind of donuts.
Yeah. And so maybe you want to cancel your cable because Comcast on the list.
So they're not going to be able to watch cable no more.
No. Maybe you could just order a pizza to console yourself. Well, you can't get it from Domino's, you can't get it from Pizza Hut, and you can't get it from Papa John's.
All
on the
on the list.
And you can look this
We
stuff
should
up.
have looked up Little Caesars because they're probably on the list too. They can't even go get their $5 pizzas.
Look at their mascot. They're obviously on the list somewhere.
All right.
Little Caesar. Well, and maybe you just go like, well, maybe put on some 70s music, forget about it. No, you can't listen to Elton John, of course. He
Right.
supports the movement. Queen. Freddie Mercury was still around, obviously.
They can't listen to rock and roll either.
Can't
Can't
listen-
listen to Judas Priest.
Can't listen to Judas Priest, Rob Halford. Definitely.
Totally gay.
Why didn't we know that? I mean, we knew it.
If you go back and watch the videos though that went with the, then you're like, oh yeah, he was like into the leathers and
Yeah.
stuff.
And you think, well, I'm just going to get away. I'm going to stop at ExxonMobil. I'm going to fill my motorcycle full of fuel and just
My Harley.
right off into
My
Dale's.
Harley.
Hop on your Harley Davidson.
Right off into the sunset.
You can't because Harley Davidson supports the movement.
What is this world coming to? Oh
I
my
don't
God.
know. You know, then you could just like go, well, I want to make America great again, and let's watch this TV shows I loved growing up. You can't watch Bugs Bunny because Bugs Bunny was a cross-dresser.
Right?
It's true.
You can't watch MASH.
Because
You
the
got
guy, Klinger,
You
that
got
was trying to get out.
You got to think about your kids walking in the room and seeing Klinger.
Klinger can groom your kids.
You need to support your kids. You cannot put MASH on.
Yeah, no mash for you.
And I know everybody turns to this, and they always use Archie Bunker as the one. Archie Bunker.
Fun fact, Carol O'Connor, extreme liberal. Seriously, look
Right.
it up. Look it up.
Which is
Look up how liberal he was.
Which is why I think they hired him to play this part.
A raging
Right.
conservative.
But what was the first male-on-male kiss with different, you know, it was a black man kissing a white man.
Was it Archie Bunker kissing George Jefferson?
No, it was Sammy Davis Jr. kissed Archie Bunker.
Okay. I did not know that. That's a good
So,
trivia. That should be on Jeopardy.
You cannot watch that show in front of your kids.
No All in the Family for you.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, that's a lot. So, God, I don't know what these people are going to do.
Well, I can tell you what this is going to make them. Hungry, naked, dehydrated, sunburnt, smelly, bored due to a lack of entertainment, no electricity, run down buildings due to no maintenance because they no deliveries of all their Amazon goods because they can't shop on Amazon anyways, and they're going to be hitchhiking because they can't drive a car anymore.
Well, yeah, but wouldn't they
You guys are going to have an amazing
wouldn't they
life.
just be walking, which in our area, walking barefoot out right now?
They're going to
Yeah.
burn their feet off.
Yeah.
Because they probably can't even buy any flip flops.
Goat
Yeah.
heads. Goat heads.
And yeah, goat heads. Those hurt.
Ah, those are sucky.
Just to wrap it up. So if you're really going to boycott these businesses, go all in. And why we didn't mention it, why we said smelly and sunburnt, Procter and Gamble, who make a lot of the products, the shampoos, soaps,
Toothpaste,
toothpaste,
all that stuff.
all support it. So all this is out there. Just look it up and do yourself a favor. If this is a sword that you're going to die on, if this is what you're going to go in and you're going to rail against Bud Light and Target, and how dare they, then go all in and boycott everything.
And, again, I'd like to reiterate, these people are the ones that proudly call themselves the anti-cancel culture group.
Yeah.
You're not. I mean, or I don't know how
you're
you're
anti-cancel when it has to do with them and what they believe.
right, but it's like they shouldn't. I don't know how they say it with a straight face. Then I'm like, but you're canceling shit.
Mm-hmm.
Like, then don't. I don't want to hear the words cancel culture and how you're against it ever coming out of your mouth again.
Yeah, and before we turned this on, we were watching that video by Chris Pratt, and you know who he is. He's a cowboy guy who sits in. He makes videos in the front seat of his pickup truck, and he's the expert on everything. He's going to tell you what's morally right, and hell, he knows about everything. And he made this video, and he described capitalism to a T. That these businesses are pandering to these groups, which they are. That's what advertising is.
But here's the thing. The businesses pander to everyone. The fact that he sat on there and said, they're trying to exploit and use these marginalized groups, and they're just pandering to you. While he's wearing like a Stetson hat, I'm like, you're being, and was he wearing a flag shirt? Because it's like, if you've got a United States flag shirt on, I can guarantee that you're being manipulated by China.
Right. So
because that's where those are made.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if like Black Rifle coffee shirts are made
I
in
doubt
China.
they are, but he didn't. I don't think he had one of those on.
Not that. But what you're saying is, no, Black Rifle coffee is pandering to you and marketing to
Right.
you.
Yeah.
I heard a friend of mine, because I was going into Walmart to get us coffee for work. And I said, oh, let's get some Black Rifle coffee. She's like, oh, you know about that, right? And I looked at her, I was like, no. And she said, they're trying to take gun rights away. They're part of that movement.
Black Rifle coffee?
Mm-hmm.
I
That's what she told me. And I was like, I have not.
No.
I thought that they
No.
no, Black Rifle coffee is all about that.
They are.
about guns and about like vets and the military
Yes,
and all
that
that. And I was like,
So somebody told me, because I like coffee, and they're like, you should try Black Rifle coffee. He didn't try to go into any of all. I think that's how they try to hook you in. They're like, they fish first to see what kind of things. So he goes, oh, you should try. He's like, do you like strong coffee? I'm like, yeah. And he's like, you should really try Black Rifle coffee. It's like really good coffee, and it's all made in the United States, and veterans run the company. And I'm like, oh, that's cool, because, a lot of times veterans can't find work after being in the service. I'm like, oh, that's cool. I'm like, all right, I'll go check it out. So I went on Amazon to look it up, because I was like, dude, I want some strong coffee. I was on Amazon to look it up, and like a lot of the comments go, I'm sorry, but this coffee is not strong like it claims to. There are much, and then people would list all the other ones that are much stronger. And then and then people would talk about their kind of agenda thing, or you know what? And to be fair, it might not even be Black Rifle coffee that's pushing this agenda out. It might be more of the people who buy it that are like, they're on our side, so they push it.
I think they just like the cool T-shirt, Black Rifle
I know,
coffee,
because it has a gun on
with
it.
the American flag on the arm.
They're like, it's got my flag, it's got my gun on it, and it's coffee. How can I go wrong?
Cool looking shirt.
Yeah, how could I go wrong?
And I'm not railing against Black Rifle coffee at all. They do support veterans, and good for them.
Right.
My only point being is how Chris was saying that, well, Bud Light's pandering to that community. Black Rifle is pandering to you, too.
Right. And every business is pandering to all of us at all times. That's why they share our information, our internet searches, so they can sell us shit.
Yeah,
Hello. It's not to learn anything about you except for what they could possibly sell you.
And Chris, if you're listening, do yourself a favor and do not Google Rainbow Stetson. Because it's there.
It exists, Chris.
So I hope we helped everybody else out. Thanks for Ronnie for coming on the podcast.
You probably just ruined his day, Chris's day, if he's listening.
I think I ruined a lot of people's days.
Right.
But they're not going to be able to tell
You know
how
what?
outraged they are because all their phones are broken now.
Yeah, they threw them against the wall or smashed them with no, they can't smash them with hammers because those come from Home Depot.
Where are you gonna buy the hammer?
And yeah, you can't. You can't even. You're gonna have to do it all yourself. You're gonna have to just run it over. You can't run it over with your car.
You can't run it over with your car.
You were gonna have to just throw it. Yeah.
Cancel it. Cancel it.
My gosh.
Okay. All right. So, on that note, we're gonna wrap this one up, and we're gonna be right back with another one. So, thank you all. Thank you, Ronnie. We'll see you at Pride next year. We love the event. We love all of the community and the people. And we only did that list just to prove how ridiculous you all sound.
Yes.
Okay?
And you are. You do sound ridiculous.
All right.
Okay. Love y'all. Bye.